You can play SecDim play challenges on any operating systems as long as you have the dependencies installed. If you are on Windows, you first need to install WSL, and then you can follow along the commands that I will run as part of this guide. From the user menu on the top right hand corner, click on SecDim ID, sign in, find SSH key button, click add or update SSH key. Here we need to paste the SSH public key. Open up a terminal and type in SSH key gen. This will generate a pair of public and private SSH keys. Please keep the same file name. And then open the SSH public key. Copy content of this file. Go back to the browser. Paste. Save. And you are all set. To test your SSH connection, head back to the terminal. Type in ssh-t git at game.secdim.com. What you expect to see is a hi and welcome message with your username. All the challenges are containerized. So as long as you have a Docker container on your system, you would be able to run, test, and debug them. In this example, I'm going to install Docker Compose, and a helper command called make so that I would be able to run any future challenges. After you have installed Docker Compose, and make, you need to run this command. To give your current user access to Docker daemon. Log out and log back to your system for this new permission to take place. If this is first time that you install Docker, you need to also reboot your system for Docker service to run. After that, to test if Docker works, type in docker ps. That if we don't get any permission problem, that means our user has access to the Docker service, and we can run a simple hello world container just to test if everything is set up correctly. And as we can see, Docker is successfully installed. Choose among one of the games. In this case, I will pick TypeScript. Start with the challenge titled Start Here. This is a trivial challenge, and it is designed to guide us into how we can play a SecDim play challenge. Scroll toward the end of the page and hit on play. Now we have a private fork repository of the challenge. Copy this URL, and as we can see in this page, there is a timer, there's a countdown, the time that is available to us to solve and submit our solution. Head to the terminal, type git clone to have a local copy of this repository. cd into the repository, the directory. Type in make build to build the container image. The majority of the challenges, they come with a source directory that contains the source code of the program, including test. For example, in this case, the tests are included within the source test directory. There are two sets of tests, usability and security test. We can run usability test by running make test. We can also run security test by running make security test. These tests either fail or they may be incomplete given the complexity of challenge. As we can see here, we had 3 security tests, all 3 of them were failed. Now in this trivial challenge, we can go ahead and examine the test and find out why these tests are failing, and later our goal is to go and fix the program so all these tests can be passed. So we can see, for example, this test will send this value to the program and expect to receive 200, and this didn't happen. Similarly, another test will send this value to the program, and finally, the third test will send this value. You can also run the program by typing make run. In this case, this program will run a web application on port 8080. You can open this in your browser and start to interact with it. For example, we can copy the sample request from here and try to get a feel about the program. Now, before we start finding a solution for this challenge, let's commit a sample file to the remote repository. Here I just created a random file. I git add the file, commit it. Here the git wants me to choose a username or email. I just follow the command that you can see is prompt here. Commit again and git push. Now the changes were pushed to the remote repository. If you head back to the challenge page, we will see this commit is shown up here. Now, if you hit on test, this will execute the tests against this code, this program that we have pushed up. Now, all the tests will be overwritten. So if you have modified any test, usability or security test, they will be overwritten on the remote server. Now, in this stage, if we have passed, as we can see, the usability tests are run against our code. All the usability tests were passed, following with the security tests that are currently being executed. Now, if we manage to successfully solve this challenge, we will see all these tests will be passed. In this case, the test is failing. We still have time, another chance to go back and fix the program and make another commit. I have made some changes to one of the files, which I believe the cause of the security bug is there. Once the changes are done, I need to run make build to rebuild the Docker image. And then in this challenge, because it's a trivial and easy challenge, I can run the security test against that changes that I have done. And if these tests are passed, I'm sure that once I push my code up, the challenge will be passed. And as we can see here, I have managed to solve 2 of the issues or pass 2 of the tests. However, there is 1 more remaining before I can successfully pass this challenge. Now I finally managed to pass all the security tests, and I will push these changes back to the remote repository. As we can see, my commit is now showed up here. I hit test. And since I know these tests are passed locally, I'm sure this test will be also passed on the remote server, and I will gain the score for this challenge. As we can see, tests are passed, and I have successfully managed to solve this challenge. Always push to the master branch, so you do not need to create any feature branch. Do not modify the existing tests, specifically the usability tests. These tests will be overwritten on the server, so even if you change them locally, you will not see the impact of them when you test them on the remote server. It is always recommended to run tests, so you try everything locally before you push your changes. But as I said, these tests will be overwritten, so there is no point just to make the test pass and thinking that this will also pass the challenge. In majority of the challenges, you cannot modify or install new dependencies. The goal is that you solve the challenge on your own solution. Anytime you want to run make tests and make security tests, remember to run make build. This is required for some of the challenges to update the Docker container. And of course, you are able to run everything without containers as long as you have the dependencies installed in your system. For example, in this TypeScript challenge, you can install the dependencies that comes with the repository from package.json file, but however, you need to have npm previously installed on your system. You can also live debug the program while the container is running. For that, you can simply run make debug. This will run the container and map the source directory from the host to inside the container. So that means that if you modify now any files within the source directory on your host, this change will immediately take place within the container. And then from there on, you can simply go and run the test that you want to execute against the program. This will speed up the whole process and experience for you.